Team Athletics podcast with my co-host Q and Tevin, myself Kyle Coglatori, and we got a great guest from Marquette today, Katie Young. How you doing, Katie?
I'm doing great. Thanks, guys, for having me. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for joining
Oh,
us.
thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. And you know what, Q? I know you got a real good background story on Katie. Why don't you fill us all in?
Yeah, we definitely go back. We're both from Kenosha, Wisconsin, as our previous guest, Trey Waynes. And
Facts.
I just wanted to jump into it. Were you born in Kenosha, Wisconsin?
No, originally born in New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Okay.
I was just out there.
Mardi Gras. I mean, Fat
Yeah.
Tuesday was just the Tuesday that passed. So I was there for, weird story, I was there for family reunion. Well, my mom was there for a family reunion. And they told her not to go because obviously flight risk, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But they drove down. And yeah, born in New Orleans and then shoved on back to Kenosha, Wisconsin.
I love the
Yeah.
food down there.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Down home is phenomenal.
I've never been. I've
Oh.
heard they had amazing food. Definitely want to try some crawfish.
That's what I did. It hit. It hit, bro. Like, it's kind of scary at first when you do it, but a lot of work too for not. I did it.
Nah.
I did it all, bro.
With the eyes,
I'm all about that
yeah.
life.
Yeah.
I'm ready to try it. I want to engulf in the culture. I want to see what they're about.
Yeah, a lot of the seafood boil wave. I know you guys have seen that. That is a complete carbon copy of New Orleans cuisine, 100%. So get you a beignet.
Oh yeah, little Cafe Du Monde.
Facts.
Oh yeah.
So and then too, nothing like Southern hospitality. You go
True.
down, eat good, get treated right.
And hear all the crazy stories. I love the horror stories from all the
Yeah.
buildings. They got all the history there. I was ready to hear about all the crazy stuff.
It gets kind of creepy, but yeah, that too, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So growing up as a preteen in Kenosha, Wisconsin, what were some of the hobbies that intrigued you?
Basketball. Q and I, he's being humble. We went to Mahone, and the YMCA was literally down the hill from our middle school. So I would leave school. We get out at 3:43. My memory serves
That's
me correct.
exact. You were precise.
I've got a photographic memory. We walk down the hill and go to the Y until 9 o'clock when it closed, and my mom would come pick me up. Winter breaks, where were we? The Y. You get out early at 12 o'clock, go to McDonald's, and then you go to the Y. So just basketball. It was something I was passionate about, and all my friends were into it too. So if I wasn't hooping, I don't know what else I would be doing.
Very
Yeah.
true. So what elementary school did you go to? We're about to go back on this one.
Oh my gosh. I went to Curtis Strange, and then I got pushed up a grade and went to Roosevelt. So that was like on the other side. So nobody I knew or grew up with. I went to Roosevelt. So that was it's an accelerated program. I met Rachel Jones, if you remember her. She
Yep.
went there. She's
Tremper.
a Southside girl. And that was pretty much it. I was there for school, and then they had a hoops team. You get to play in elementary and stuff like that. But yeah, Curtis Strange and stuff.
That's very ironic that you mentioned the hoops team because in grade school, I remember we had the elementary basketball, the school league in the
Yeah.
city.
Mhm.
And I remember you playing for Roosevelt, and I was in fourth grade. You were in fifth.
Yep.
And you were also on the team with playing against all males.
Yes, 100%. I think that.
You body them all?
And she was the best one on her team, which is the next point I wanted to make because she gave everyone, in quotes, buckets.
I don't know if I should be humble beast, but that is facts. Q is not a man that he should lie. But yeah, I think that growing up, a lot of girls didn't play, right? And that's cool. And I had friends that I grew up with, and we would jump rope and we kind of do stuff outside. But when it came to playing basketball, I wanted to be better. So you play against people that are better than you, right?
Right.
You get pushed around, you get shoved down, but that makes you tough. And consequently, what happened is I started being better than them, and then the rest is history. So, yeah, I remember giving you guys buckets back in 5th grade in the CYC gym. Smells like a walking taco and popcorn, right?
Yep,
Throw that
50-second,
down.
20-second.
Yep.
That's the combination for you. So I mean, even other examples other than grade school. I remember we were playing some outside basketball at like Jeremy and Joe's house,
Yep.
Calvin's house,
Yep.
my backyard, and
Yep.
the YMCA on Sundays after church. We just always were gym rats, and
Yeah.
it's crazy because seeing that you were always competing against males made you so much better than the girls your age, the girls that were older than you.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a competitive edge?
Absolutely. I think a lot of times when you're young, you don't like losing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But losing taught me discipline and how to get better. And then I I wasn't thinking about it in 5th, 6th grade. I'm not thinking, okay, I'm going to be better than all the girls I'm going to play. But what happens is they're better than any competition you're going to see, right? So when I'm playing TYC, when I went to middle school ball, it was easy. I'm like, what the, you know? And I think that came from just being a hooper and being kind of entrenched in getting better. But more so is just having that love for the game and saying, hey, I know I'm probably going to get pushed down. I know my shot's going to get blocked a few times, but come middle school season, I'm going to be a killer. You know what I mean? No one's going to block my shot.
Yeah.
And then if I am playing against somebody taller, now I know what to do. Now I can, I have those intangibles. So just the love for the game, being passionate about it for sure.
Certainly. So do you feel like more girls should challenge themselves by inserting themselves into a position like that where they're playing against maybe more males or older competition to, further their career and get better sooner?
Yeah, what I see now, and I know you guys see it on the gram, their kids are getting with these trainers that have them like dribbling twice and then walking around a cone and then doing a floater over, a stick or something. I say go hoop, go play, right? Because you get into a game, ladies, gentlemen, little men, little boys, little girls, and you're not playing against a stick. You're not playing against a cone. You're not crossing over in front of those things because somebody's hand's outstretched, right?
Yep.
So you're setting yourselves back. I did a camp this summer with all girls camp, and then the last 2 days we made it co-ed. In my first couple days just with the girls, I really wanted to introduce them to go play outside, right? Don't encapsulate yourself with girls and only in a controlled environment, because you don't get better that way, right? You can't control what's going on in the game. You can't.
Yeah.
And I know that boys are tougher. They're stronger. They'll push you down. They'll do whatever. They may not pick you up at first. You may not get as many shots, but you're getting better that way. If you're always the best, you subsequently play down to your competition, right? If you've ever played a sucky team and your team's like, we should be killing these guys and the game's close, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that happens. So I was really, really, really vocal about, hey, girls, go play with the boys. You'll get better that way.
And we did that a lot growing up where I'm from. I know they always would have a scrimmage, and I think by the time I was in 7th, 8th grade, the girls' varsity, it was always begging us to scrimmage them, and it was fun. Because, I mean,
dude, those were the best days, like the end of the year. Then like the girls varsity team would come in, like, okay, we're gonna scrimmage. You're out here just like, I've never played basketball harder in my life than trying to get buckets against them.
Well, yeah, and it's bad too because you already got a crush on them because they're girls you've been looking up to. Like,
Right.
hey, and then she's cold.
And you're still like, you're a middle school kid. You're like, well, I mean, they're still girls. I can't lose to a girl.
Yeah.
Like you have that stupid bias in your head. You're like, yeah, we're trying out here.
I don't know,
to get
man. I was crushing. I wasn't even thinking about the game.
That's 100% what it is. I don't know if it was like half crushers or they wouldn't want to lose to a girl, but I played one-on-one with everybody, and I knew that they were playing their hardest, right?
Yeah.
Because the gym's got this big window where the weights are, and then everybody's in the gym, and I'm like, all right, let's play.
Oh, man.
And it's close. I'm hitting shots, and they're like, all right, now I got to turn it up.
Right.
I don't want to block your shot. Then at the end, they're blocking it, and they're, bodying me a little bit because they don't want to lose to, I know what that is, a girl, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm better than you, then, hey, it is what it is.
How many people show up to watch those? Did you get a packed gym?
Oh, my God. The gym was always packed anyway, the Y was, but at the end you play, one-on-ones and stuff like that, and people are taking their shoes off, and before they leave, they're like, oh, let me watch this. Let's see what's going on.
They always stuck around and spectate to,
for sure. So they can talk
games.
smack. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever take some money from some kids out there?
No, we weren't betting yet. We were kids. We didn't have any money. I didn't have any money to bet anybody, but I knew that the real money was bragging rights. So when I seen you the next day at the Y, what's up, loser? You know what I mean?
Or at school.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Catch them in the hallway, like, yeah, remember what happened?
Yeah. You could talk about it all day, and they just got to, you know what I mean? Well, you're a girl. I didn't want to. I get it. I get it, right?
So what was that transition from junior high where you said it was real easy? Now you're finally getting to – were you playing varsity right away?
Yeah, so funny story. I didn't want to play varsity because our varsity coach at Bradford High was a track coach. So he made those girls run tirelessly. And I seen that coming in from your 8th grade year to your 9th grade year, they invite you to workouts and stuff like that. So you kind of get, immersed in the team. And I seen them running. And it's a hill right across the street from our high school that's just – it's massive, and he would make them run it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to probably just play JV or something. I'm going to just get buckets that way. And then tried out and stay for freshman because you got to do that, and then JV. And then he see me leaving. He said, "Hey, where you going?" And I'm like, I gotta go. I got homework or something." I said some type of lie, and he was like, "No, hang out, stay around, stick around." And I end up trying out. Anyways, I told them like, "Hey, I just want to play on JV. You guys got a squad. You're good. I want to play." Made up some dummy excuse, and I had like 34 my first game, like 40 the second game, and by like the third or fourth game, they were like, "All right, kid, you're coming up varsity." You're just we played Bradley Tech, and it was just kind of, you know, it was embarrassing more or less. So he said, "Hey," he threw me a jersey and he said, "Hey, suit up with us."
Did you start right away?
I did end up starting, but it was growing pains for me. He was trying to refine me more mentally than physically, right? In practice, I'd kill the girls, but I was a hothead. I was more Russell Westbrook than right.
Yeah.
If I got fouled out, what are you doing? Call it, right? Or
Yeah.
I was emotionally frustrated because I wasn't having my way as easy as I just did 2 weeks ago with, you know what I mean? So I'd start, and then he'd take me out, not play me in the second half and things of that nature. But from that, and when we got to the playoffs and he realized he needed me, then I played.
So was he kind of like, I mean, your relationship with the coach, was it rocky for you then? Did you feel like he really knew what he was doing? You know, sometimes I feel like that's the hardest part with high school sports. You got a teacher who's in there just trying to make an extra $2,500. You know what I mean?
I don't think he struggled with wherewithal. I think that he knew what he was doing. He had a daughter. There was a kind of a sense of nepotism. She was on our team, and I didn't think that I thought I was better than her, and everyone else did as well. So that was kind of an issue there. So it was never an issue of wherewithal. He knew what he was doing. However, just trying to prove a point in that.
Like, hey, I'm the coach.
Yeah, I'm the coach.
player.
Right. You're at that time, you're a 13-year-old kid. You're going to listen to me. And I'm like, no.
And you were a grade younger for your age already.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So you graduated 17,
yes.
right?
Yep.
So you were super young.
Yeah. So going to Marquette, I remember that because everybody else was signing their stuff because you're 18 or older, or you're 17, your guardian's got to come. My mom was there with me signing stuff, and everybody's like, what?
Mom puts the Marquette hat
right.
on.
Everybody's like, why is your mom here with her? I'm like, I'm 17. Like, leave me alone. So that was the whole thing. But, yeah.
Were you 17 when you stepped on campus?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's young.
So I didn't turn 18 until my birthday's in June, until my freshman college year going into my sophomore year. Because, I mean, college gets out in May.
Like, obviously, like, you don't know any different because it's not you experienced college before. But, like,
and you were killing everybody.
Did people, like, treat you different? Like, were you, like, the baby? Were you bigger or smaller than everybody else? Like,
no.
She's not small.
No, I wasn't.
She's tall.
Right, but nobody that's playing Division I women's college basketball is small.
We had a really, 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 really cool senior group of girls that were motivated to get to the tourney, and we did. So they all looked at me as a baby, because you're 17.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, when we're going through the airport and stuff like that, I'd have to, like, stay with one of them. We would go, like, play St. John's or Notre Dame or UConn. Hey, Katie, make sure you're by me so that way we can get you through and stuff like that. But as far as on the court, no, because I'm tenacious. I'm an animal, so that baby stuff goes out the way. Yeah.
Well, I actually want to rewind because I don't want to get quite into Marquette yet.
Cool,
I still want to talk about some of your high school stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, so you had kind of the issues with the coach. Did he stay there your whole career? Was he the high school coach the whole time?
No, so he left my junior year. So 2 years he was my coach, and then 2 years he wasn't. And then we got Jessica Stevens, where it was the opposite, where she let me do whatever I wanted, but she had no idea what she was doing.
And that's when you really took over your junior and senior year.
Yeah, because I was the coach, basically, right? Like how everybody says LeBron's the coach, that was really what was going on.
Well, I mean, you were all conference both years. You also led the team to 2 regional titles, and I believe you were also all-state your senior year and averaged 24 and 9.
Yeah. I ended up being second in state behind a 6'6" girl at Benton. That's still, every time I see her,
So
I'm
that
bitter.
still sounds, yeah.
I'm very bitter about that. I won't lie, right? I'm like, you can't teach height.
Right.
And they end up winning state, so I guess they kind of have to give it to her. But yeah.
So, did you ever get to face off against her straight up?
No, we never played Benton because we didn't get that far into the playoffs. But we played on a all-star team together.
She ended up being okay, or are you still like, I don't like you?
No, she's a gentle giant. Most girls that are tall don't want to be tall, so they're very like coy, right? And that's kind of, you know, when you're big, you're like, you know, awkward. So once I'm kind of outgoing, and I'm like, we're on the bus going up to play at Madison, and I'm like, picking her brain and stuff like that, and she's kind of like, yeah. So I was like, after that, I'm like, she's cool. It's not her fault. The whoever picks all state and all that stuff, it's their fault. So I got to find those guys in Huntington. They probably can't hoop at all anyway. So
right,
I got
right, exactly.
I remember I got screwed out of Player of the Year my senior year because of some coaches' selections. Statistically, I did way better than the guy who won it, and it's a voting. So you really have no control.
How does that work? Do you know, Q?
All the coaches, they vote on who they think should be Player of the Year.
Okay.
And the guy had one more vote.
Wow.
That's trash.
Yeah, so whatever. I mean, life goes on, but, when you deserve it, you deserve it.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing with T.O., not to go off topic, but same deal. I mean, that dude, they screwed him out of 3 years. He should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer.
He
left him out of top 100 players.
He did more to hurt himself than he did to help himself.
Dude,
he was a great player. He's a great player, but when you're out doing crunches in your driveway talking about F the league.
Hey,
you got to take that part of it out. We're not talking about his
you got to,
personality.
but
on top of that,
still
everybody does that now. That's the only thing that bothers me. He was the first one to do it. He pioneered it, so now it's okay for everybody.
Pioneers got to pay the price.
Now look at AB. He's crazy.
Whole lot of money.
Right?
Well, let's talk about when you kind of took over as the coach, essentially, and that's when you really started, really, not that you weren't coming into your own already, but really taking over.
I think being a leader is action, right?
Yeah.
So I got a portrait in my house of it's a leader pointing and then leader pulling the line, right, being in front. So the girls just kind of mimic what I was doing. If I was in the gym, I stayed late and shots, they do it too. We'd make it fun, right? And then we were getting better. And that's also about the time where you realize, hey, I could probably get a scholarship if I turn it up. So that was on my mind. I don't know, or any of the listeners if they have $50,000 to go to college a year, but my parents didn't.
Yeah.
So that was on my mind for sure to say, hey, okay, I've got an opportunity. Let me put forth my best effort each and every game and practice and things of that nature. And AAU circuit started to be, just lit on fire. And I started seeing coaches at my games and stuff. So realizing that I was on the radar. And that was my motivation. It's like, okay, I got to get to college. I got to get to the next level. And then, consequently, we all were getting better because if your leader's working really hard, then you cannot, right?
Yep.
Shout out to the late, great Kobe Bryant. You can't play on this team and not work hard. Otherwise, you guys will probably watch his interviews as well. He doesn't want you there,
Right.
So.
Oh, yeah. A lot of bums on some of those teams.
Oh, my gosh. Kwame Brown, right?
And when you say you saw, coaches started, college coaches started showing up to your games and stuff, do you remember the first one where you realized, okay, this isn't some D3 college coach. This is, the guy that I've watched on TV?
She wasn't there to see me, but I seen Pat Summitt. And for women's basketball, Tennessee was
she's it. She's the deal.
Was the Duke, the North Carolina. She wasn't there to see me, but I went off okay, you know what I mean. And whoever she was there to see, I cooked her, just so you know, right? How life works. Her son ended up being our assistant coach at Marquette, and I ended up being able to meet her and get a relationship with her before her untimely demise. So that just worked out well. But that was my motivation first. But first coach that was probably there to see me was from Michigan State.
And so when you're going through the AAU circuit, was that kind of the best part of your recruiting process? Was that what really got you out there? Or do you feel like high school did? What?
AAU for sure. High school is a technicality because you go to whatever schools in your district. So, if kids don't go there and you're not the best team, but with AAU, they kind of recruit kids. Hey, come play with us.
Yeah.
Milwaukee Playground at that time was a force. They still are a force in Wisconsin as far as just getting elite players to play on their team. Didn't you play for them 2Q for a little bit? Or
a few tournaments.
Yeah, a few tournaments. But they I was playing on a local team, and then they kind of see me like, hey, you're doing yourself a disservice by not going to, the Boo Williams tournaments, by not just staying regional. So once I got that kind of call up there, and the rest is history, we traveled all over and started to really kind of see what competition looked like.
So then was it your junior year when you started getting talked to by Michigan State?
Yes, my sophomore summer, junior year. Yes.
Sophomore summer. Okay.
Yeah. They started writing. Didn't get an offer, but you started getting those letters, right?
Yep.
You start getting all that mail.
Yep.
And that kind of again, it opens your mind to the possibilities of things like, okay.
Right. It goes kind of goes from being a dream to being reality.
Yeah, for sure. We all kids talk about what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to play in the league, right? I want to be a professional athlete, and then to be able to kind of see it unfolding, that's kind of an exciting time.
So what was that snowball effect with the other colleges? Did you start seeing them all kind of pour in after that, following suit, or? What
happened is when you go to like the bigger tournaments and you play against better players. So for instance, Bria Hartley ended up going to UConn. She's my year. We played against those guys, and Gino's there, Pat's there, all these people are there. So that game is, that's a focal game at a basketball tournament, right? So you just put on a show. And then from there, word of mouth travels. Let me find out more about this kid. Why haven't I heard about her when she was a freshman or a sophomore? Because some of these highly recruited girls are being recruited from 8th grade, right?
Right.
Because they're on that AAU team and because they're endorsing it. But in Kenosha, you can kind of be swallowed up. We were surrounded by so much talent, but not really had the push or the teams or the exposure for sure, right? So that kind of was a trickle effect. My first offer was actually from Cleveland State. Went out and did a visit my junior year, and I was just like, yeah, this is just the beginning. And I don't think the coach liked to hear that. But it was cool. They took
being
me
honest.
Yeah.
Right. And they know what's up before you even got to campus.
Yeah,
business.
They knew. Yeah.
They're trying to trick you, really, is what it was.
They're like, we're the first one in. What if, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They try to sprinkle a little doubt. Well, what if you go to this tournament and you get hurt or all those type of things, but you just got to bet on yourself. It was a cool visit, though. That was back when LeBron was playing in Cleveland, so I got to see a game and stuff and see this sign.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really cool. It was really cool. Yep.
So let's keep going more on that, though. So with the recruiting process, you're talking from Cleveland, who sent you your first offer. Then after that, let's kind of go down the line. I want to, like with Q, I was talking to him. Who was selling candy in your ear? Who really convinced you, like, hey, this is a spot for me? What got you to that point?
Oh my gosh, it got to a point where our mail started getting pushed back to the post office because they were like, not because of the offers, but because of the what is that called? Where the junk mail, like the we seen you here, the interest there. So Cleveland State was the first one, and then all the Wisconsin schools, UW, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, offered me kind of the cool ones that stand out to me. I really, 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 really wanted to go to USC, but my mom didn't want me to become a California girl.
Okay.
And like come back with piercings and tattoos on my faces, whatever.
Was that because of loving basketball though? Was that what brought you out there?
No. Have you seen the campus?
Oh yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like,
you grew up in Wisconsin. Like, who doesn't want to go live out in California for a little bit?
Rappers love that movie though. Loving basketball is like the soundtrack to basketball when you're growing up.
But it's also California.
Yeah, that's what it was.
USC.
That was, So they sent you the brochure of like kids eating outside and the palm trees, right? And then Rutgers was another one. Vivian Stringer is a phenomenal. I think she's in the Hall of Fame now. Phenomenal coach, but she scared the daylights out of me when I went on her visit because she was screaming at the girls, "What's gonna make you work hard?" I'm like, I'll be in Jersey, like 500 miles from my family. I can't do this one. And then the Gators was another one because that was back when what's his name, Joakim Noah and those guys were winning.
Yeah, Corey
so
Brewer.
That was really cool. And they were, they brought those guys around on my visit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they just won, right? So that was cool. But those are the ones that stand out.
And their women's team was good at that point too, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were really.
Did they both win the Natty in the same year, or like relatively near each other?
That sounds right to me.
But
I can't quote it.
That was, time flies, right? It's 2020. That was almost 10 years ago now. So I don't really remember that, but it was just a cool. And then too, you're in Florida, so
right?
Palm trees again and stuff like that.
So then was your mom really in your ear, like, hey, Marquette?
The 3 reasons why I went to Marquette is one, proximity to my family. They could see me play games. I'm 40 minutes from home. Milwaukee is, the way I drive, 30 minutes, right?
Same.
But, right. 2 was the Big East. Big East at that time was the best basketball conference there is. So you're playing Villanova one night, and then St. John's, and then Maya Moore is at UConn, and then Skylar Diggins at Notre Dame, and then Georgetown. And that was, that was a big selling point for me. I'm playing against the best.
Yeah.
And then my grandfather, who's no longer with us, God bless his soul, was a reverend, and he wanted me to go to a Jesuit or basically a religious school. And I'm like, Grandpa, these are the rowdiest kids you'll ever meet. But that was important to him, that I would do something with theology and things of that nature. But really what sold me is I can go pull up on my mom. Right? And then I'm still playing Big East, and I still kind of get that. But I can go home and do laundry on a Sunday or whatever that is. That was important to me.
Well, rest in peace to your grandpa.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And then, of course, the best of both worlds. Family and hoops.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't only just play in the Big East. You played very well in the Big East. You kind of had a red shirt. I don't want to say red shirt you played, but you had a red shirt kind of first year.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, you really started doing what you want.
Yeah, it was like if, all of us are hoopers, if the game's taken away from you, you take it
serious.
Yeah, you don't take it for granted anymore.
Mm-hmm.
When I had my ACL tear my freshman year, that was kind of an eye-opener for me, being 17 and not having, what I was. People knew me as Katie that played basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think, there's other, Katie's a very popular name, but Katie, the one that plays basketball, that was who I was. So that year was, while trying for me, it made me so much stronger because my love for the game grew stronger. I started paying attention to the details. I had to become more skilled because I couldn't rely on my athleticism as much. In my mind, I couldn't. But after that, it was more so driving me as, hey, this was taken away from you for a year. Go kill it. Just go kill. Right?
Yeah. So what was that process like? I mean, most people say, that everybody's trying to get to the end point, but a lot of people say, there's beauty in the struggle. Do you feel like that? I mean, you just said it helped you, get to where you wanted to be. But do you feel like that was your favorite year because of looking back on it, what you learned from it? Or do you feel like, I could go without that? You know what I mean? Like you said, it made you really.
It's pros and cons. That was the best year for me.
Yeah.
Not athletically, because you become mentally strong.
Yeah.
You're learning to walk again, and I tore it in the winter. Well, it was February going into March. And so I'm walking with, crutches on ice, right? And just praying, God, please don't let me, do anything to this knee again. But really what it made me realize is that I can get through anything. I can get through anything. You can, I remember the first time they made me run the stadium stairs after my knee, and I'm like, man, what the heck? I just tore my ACL, right? How can I do this? Why would you freaking make me do this, right? So I'm going, and and the doubt just, each one I went up just kind of crept away, like, oh. And then by the time I finished, I'm like, wow, I can do anything. You can put your mind to, right? So for me personally, it was my best year. For me athletically, it was my worst year. I hated it, and I missed the game terribly, but now, sitting before you, I know I can do anything. I can get through anything, any obstacle.
What were some of your favorite challenges beyond that there? I mean, I believe I was talking, or I saw an interview of your mom telling you, you're an athlete first. Mm-hmm. Grades are the most important thing while you're there. Mm-hmm. So
challenges. Marquette's a very tough school. I think you can't take, I don't know.
There's no puppy petting 101.
Yeah, it's up there as far as academics go. Like, kids have to get a certain ACT score to get in and things of that nature. So at first it was time management, learning to put school and books and do all that type of stuff. That was a challenge for me initially because I'm like, Bradford is a cakewalk, right?
Yeah.
Who's the dude that used to sell Gardettos? What was his name? And cookies.
Rotors.
Yeah, I'm used to taking Rotors class, right? And we're just hanging out.
Took it.
Yeah, you get to laugh at them for half the class, and you get an A. And now no one's reminding me that this is due, right? Or no one's on me to do my homework, and no one's really telling me to go to class. Like, if you got an 8 a.m., you don't want to go, okay, right? But now you're behind. So academics initially were, and then I ended up being on an all-academic team, which was really important to me.
Yeah, you actually had a bunch of honor rolls.
Yeah, it was important to me because I had to prove a point to myself because at that time, before the whole wave of LeBron more than an athlete, people were like, okay, you playing the basketball team, okay. But I'm nothing to cough at as far as academics. I take that very seriously because I know what an athlete kind of comes off as, right? And you kind of get things easier or handed to you or get grades. And I didn't want that. I wanted to do it the right way, and I wanted to excel because having an accredited degree from Marquette says something, right?
Yeah.
You go into an interview, it says something. I didn't want to be like, yeah, I play basketball, hire me, right? So that was important to me. Other challenges. After that, it was kind of, once I got my groove right around my like sophomore going in my junior year of getting time management down and school and stuff like that, college was one of the funnest times of my life. So challenges beyond my ACL and like kind of getting, academics in order.
Acclimated.
Yeah, it was kind of like fun, right? You did all that stuff. You realized what it took and how you had to do it. And then after that, it was, you're getting to play basketball, getting to travel, getting to hang out with your teammates, getting to meet people. Like, it was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah, congratulations. I commend you for conquering that.
Thank
I mean,
you.
you attacked it. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. I guess we get back into the hoop side of it all. I mean, you were averaging 12.4 and 8.6. You're almost averaging a double-double.
They had me playing everything. I played every position at Marquette, and that was because of injuries from our other teammates. But I literally played point. My junior year, I played shooting guard. That was my natural position. Give me the ball and shoot it, or a wing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are two interchangeable. Then I got it to be a post because one of our posts had a torn labrum.
Okay.
And they like kind of threw me in the power forward position. You talked about your favorite shot earlier, right?
Yep.
That like elbow extended.
That's my spot.
So that was probably really one of my favorite times because those posts can't guard me. You do a rip through, you give them kind of a KG shake, and they're like,
And essentially, it's now at that point, it's if you're playing point guard, if you're bigger than everybody, they're like, well, we got to put a bigger player on them, so they're going to be less mobile, so you can just go by them. So your game can really just adjust to whoever's guarding you, and you have your way with them either way.
For sure. When I was playing point, they'd match me up with girls are shorter, a 5'8" girl, and I'm bullying her, right? I'm going right past her. So they'd run a play where I get a back screen, and then I'd post, all right? When I'm playing against post, they drew me out because I can shoot the 3-ball. And a post doesn't know what to do out there. And on a wing, it's kind of, a free-for-all. You're really just running the plays and finding your shots and things of that nature. So getting to be versatile and kind of help my team in whatever way was really, really cool. But that kind of played into me boarding and then playing the point. When you got to get back, you got to be the first one back. So that kind of took away. And I'd be focused on that. Like, I'm not getting enough rebounds because I'm playing point. I got to get back. Right? So, that all played into it.
Well, it was funny because watching your highlights, I mean, you banged.
Yeah.
You really banged. I wasn't expecting that. When he sent me the highlight, I was like, whoa, she's not afraid.
Yeah, the Big East kind of, well, now it's not, but that's how you started out. I played my freshman year. That was Maya's last year, and seeing her in UConn with that jersey on and her being 6'2" and just chiseled lean, we went up for a board, and she knocked me to the floor. And I don't think she threw me to the floor. I just bounced off her body. Right? She wasn't malicious. It was no malicious intent. And then the Rutgers girls, we used to call them bullies because they were all like cut and they were feisty. They'd throw you to the ground. They'd knock you over. The beginning years, if I can say, was a lot like, you remember MJ when what was the Jordan rules?
Oh, yeah, the Jordan rules, yeah.
Now, I was not Jordan, but that's how I felt. Like, I was getting knocked to the ground, and I'm like, man, I got to get stronger.
The Detroit Pistons out here.
Yeah, I got to get stronger because that's what the Big East was. It was a big guard. If you weren't 6 foot, you were little. So I really, really wanted to start initiating it so that when they would watch film and do a scouting session, it's like, oh, she's not a punk, so we can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of my teammates, they try to punk them and like, jump ball, they bump them, or free throw line, they're tossing them down. Not me, so.
Well, you say like getting knocked over by Maya Moore. Is that kind of one of your welcome to Big East basketball moments, or do you remember a first time where you realized this isn't like home?
Yeah, that was one of them. For sure, one of them. And then, two, just being in awe of Maya Moore. I don't know if you guys ever got to catch her because now she's kind of doing her.
Yeah, she's doing law stuff now, actually, trying to help people get out of prison.
For sure, doing kind of some philanthropy.
Hey, that's all we got here in Minnesota is the links.
Right.
So we know who Maya Moore is.
But really a welcome. I remember I got crossed up really, really bad by this girl from Georgetown. And I, was never a lockdown defender, but I wasn't getting crossed. And she crossed, I did everything but fall, and that was embarrassing. get my shot blocked by a girl from Rutgers. Like I said, they were bullies, so they would knock you down, then block your shot. Or if the ref would blow the whistle and you shoot the ball, they'd go up and throw it. So that way you couldn't even see the ball go in and kind of, So just a lot of memories of being like, I remember it correlated to being in the backyard, right? When you're playing against boys and they're blocking your shot and they're throwing your stuff and they're crossing you up. But I'm like, okay, I dealt with them. I can deal with you.
Transitioning a little bit too back to the academic side, you did broadcasting as a major.
I did.
So the cool thing about that whole deal is you actually we have video of you actually interviewing your teammates.
Oh my God.
So it was cool. You were running the whole interview. You had the microphone. You're asking them questions. So we've kind of talked about it off air. Kind of give us that transition where you said, you know what, I'm not really going to go down that route, but that was something you were really passionate about going into it.
Yeah, you grow up watching ESPN, Those people are in your house every day. So I really wanted to do that because of my personality and because it'll keep me in sports, because it's kind of glamorous. I thought that was really cool. But what they don't tell you is the ugly side of it, kind of the journey to get to being, Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, yeah,
right?
It's a lot of beat reporting in some small town in the middle of nowhere.
They send you to, Nebraska. I was telling you about that, or somewhere in Iowa, and then you become a weather girl, and you're not getting paid, and then eventually, if you're really good, they send you off somewhere else, and then you'll eventually get to that stage. What I didn't realize is that everyone on air is pretty old. They're in their 40s or 50s, right? So they've put their work in. They've kind of they've put their time in and things of that nature, and that was something that I didn't understand. I was like, well, if you're good and people like you, you got a good personality, you should, but
I think you would be very good at that.
Thank you.
I think you're unreal. Like Kari Champion is somebody I really like to watch. I'm sad to see her leave, but you remind me of that.
Facts. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are doing a great job as well. Shameless plug. Shout out to the podcast. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah. But that's it does suck. I mean, but anything though, nothing comes easy. Nothing worthwhile comes easy.
Yeah. I double majored in broadcasting and finance because
you're about that paper.
Facts. But because my mom was like, well, get something to fall back on. And I'm like, girl, okay. But I was always good with numbers, math and money and stuff like that. So I did that because, again, being a broadcaster is so much of who you know, not what you know.
Well, that actually has to be helping you with what you're doing now.
For sure. Absolutely. Being able to speak to people our age don't know how to talk. They're texting, right?
Yeah.
When's the last time you knocked on somebody's door? Did you just say, hey, I'm here? They don't have to do that weird, awkward, hey, can they come out and play? Like these kids that are coming up after us, they'll never have to do that kind of introductory whatever. So being able to speak eloquently and to convey a message and to be kind of charismatic, that's important. And on camera, off camera, people hearing my voice, that resonates. So
yeah, communication skills unreal, but I was also referring to the finance because I'm jumping ahead, but you run a car dealership.
Yeah,
It's what brought you to Minnesota.
Facts. That was a blessing for sure. One of my mentors is a businessman's businessman, so he had an opportunity to start a store. He's got a Honda store in Wisconsin. He's got a Ford Lincoln store in Illinois. He's got a Maserati store in Florida, and a few other stores. And I got into the car business on a complete accident. I tore an ACL overseas and was just there. He, and built a relationship and kind of, worked my way up and had some money and was able to buy into a great opportunity. So that financial aspect helped out a lot for sure.
No kidding. Well, that is awesome. I want to get into that as well. But now that you brought up your ACL and playing overseas, I want to talk about that too because I know you had a WNBA opportunity.
Yeah.
And I want to know about all of that.
So long story short, before this year, the WNBA didn't get paid. Yeah. Right? We talk about my finance background. Where's the dollars? What's that movie? Show Me the Money. What is that?
You're talking about Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, we're all young. I'm like, what I've heard.
Show me the money.
Right. So I wanted to get paid, and overseas was the best opportunity for me to do that. So, my senior year, I got invited to the WNBA Combine. I played, and I did really well. And one of my teammates was invited as well. She ended up getting drafted, and I didn't. So I got to work out with the Chicago Sky. and played well, did well.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a two-way contract in the in the NBA, excuse me. They don't have a G League though, so it's no way you can kind of, you know what I mean, wait until they need you to be called up. But moreover, I started talking to the girls that were rookies and that were gonna, you know what I mean, and I'm like, so what do we get paid, right?
Yeah.
Because we were still getting stipends and weird stuff like that. Like if you guys remember, they give you like money during the
For
winter
the day.
break.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Why are they giving us this
Per
money?
diem.
Per diem, yep.
Yeah, why are they giving us this money? Like we're supposed to be.
Food and housing for the night.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what is this? So
Used to pocket that.
Yeah.
exactly. Right in college, that was. I mean, I'd stack it up. But anyway, so I found out what we made, and that was just disheartening for me because I'm like, what the heck? Anyway, I got a call from my then agent, who is still one of a good resource for me in business, and he said, hey, Katie, you're gonna make 3 times that overseas if you're willing.
Yeah.
And that's that was my cross to bear because I realized, no, I won't be for the Chicago sky and kind of right up the street in WNBA, but I'll be able to make some money and travel the world at this age and kind of say that I did that. When people talk about overseas, they like kind of dumb it down, but there's some hoopers over there for sure. And for women, every woman plays overseas. Everyone. From Maya Moore, Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, they all play overseas because of the money.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
actually, a lot of them get paid more than the guys.
Facts.
Yeah.
So you got, just for instance, so if I would have got my rookie contract, would have been like something crazy, like $60,000 overseas. I got paid 3 times that.
Yeah.
And at 21, I'm like,
Right, let's go.
okay, yeah, I'm going.
Going
I
with
see,
where?
I see a 6 figures. I'm like, all right, you know what I mean. And then you have the opportunity to build up. You kind of play in different leagues. If you go from the Euro Cup into playing in different countries, obviously that pay increases. But as a rookie, they're kind of going off what they seen in college. They don't know yet. So I was just really excited to get started and call myself a pro and kind of do that. And while my mom was apprehensive, I don't want you going way over there.
Tell that to my bank account, Mom.
Right, right. When we did our taxes the next year, she was like, "All right, well, So that was a really, really, really cool thing to be able to travel and kind of learn different languages and not be fluent, but kind of understand that America's not the center of everything. So
And you played at the Czech Republic, right?
played in the Czech Republic, played in Australia, played in Finland, which I hated, and played in Barcelona.
So you probably, I mean, this is me being biased, and I don't know all those places 'cause I haven't been to them all, but I'd probably be Barcelona and Australia, probably my favorite spots out of the
facts.
4.
Yeah, you're not biased. No.
Okay.
It's anywhere with warm weather, like I can't. We're in Minnesota right now, and like spring's coming. Like when it's 40 degrees, I'm like, you know what I mean? So anytime with warm weather, Barcelona is a phenomenal city. They love to practice their English with you. You kind of alluded to your friend who plays at the CFL.
Yeah,
he played in
Marcus played over there. He actually just won a championship with in Perth.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
that's really, really cool. New Zealand's a cool place. I've never been, but I've just kind of heard about how it correlates with Australia and kinda it's the same dynamic. But just getting kind of that stardom feel. I would be at, let's call it Cub over there, and they're like, KD, give me your autograph, and I'm there for like Fruit Loops or something. I'll never forget walking to the stadium, and there was a let's call it a poster, the size of this building up on the thing, because we're going into the Euro Cup, and just seeing myself and being like, dang, I did that. And I heard you put it on like Snapchat or Instagram. I'm like, this is
You got to.
right. But yeah, and it's just different. It's a different way to play in Europe. They like smoke in the arena. It's like, it's different from the U.S. and they got like gates up because people get really rowdy and they'll shake that and it gets really loud. But it was such a fun time. I really enjoyed myself.
Do you feel, or I want to get into the rigors too. What was the difference of when you were here playing for the team in Chicago to playing over there? Was it very similar schedules? Was it the same kind of, did you have to do the same kind of rigorous practices? Or
I want to say really quickly, I was trying out for the Chicago Sky, so I was there for like all of 2 weeks. But as a pro athlete, no one's telling you what to do besides practice.
Okay.
So that was going to be the distinct difference because of the free time. We talked about, LeBron Jameses and the Kobe Bryants, and why they have that edge is because they're working really hard when they don't have to be there.
Yeah.
So that was a distinct difference because I'm in a country where I don't know anyone and I don't really know the language like that, and I don't really have anyone to go hang out with. So I was in the gym, right?
Yeah.
So that was a distinct difference versus being in Chicago and like I could drive home or like go hang out with people because we're in Chicago. It's summertime. It's lit. So that was the distinct difference for me is being isolated and going to my refuge, which is basketball. So I'm just going to go to the gym.
Did you like that feeling, or did you just miss home? Were you homesick?
Yeah, I won't lie. A lot of my friends that have played overseas, they know what that is. Some of the guys bring their girlfriends and stuff over there, and so they're not isolated. But I don't. I missed home, but I realized, again, that I'm an adult, right? I'm learning, I'm making money. Let me go out and travel and let me see something. A flight to Paris is $100. Let me go there. Right?
It's crazy flights out there.
Yeah, this stuff's dirt cheap. America's kind of a ripoff. But it was fun. But the cons of it were the time difference, right? When it's 8 in the morning, it's time for my family to go to sleep, or the food, or not being able to say, where's the bathroom? And you got to pee, stuff like that you don't even think about. Yeah. That was kind of the trying times for me. But, yeah, I mean, besides that, it was a fun time.
I was literally – go ahead.
Oh, no, he's pulling stuff.
All right, yeah, that's Gabe in there doing something.
Shout out to Gabe as well. Got us on there.
Well, it's funny. We do actually ask everybody who's come in that played overseas the food situations. So when I went out to New Zealand and Australia, I told them I couldn't wait to come back to America because I missed the food that much. And I was only there for 2.5 weeks, so I can't even imagine what it's like for you.
You adapt. It's a lot healthier. Like their McDonald's doesn't taste like McDonald's here because it's not greasy and like cooked in whatever. Ours is cooked in margarine.
I couldn't do their McDonald's.
Yeah. Prague was very Americanized, so I didn't really miss the food because you had like those fast food spots. It tasted healthier. But yeah, I miss food. I miss my mom's cooking. I miss, home. I miss, you get up in the morning and you smell breakfast and like, Thanksgivings and stuff like that. I wasn't able to come home for that, so I missed those. But food was kind of the last thing on my mind. I was just ready for, to win something and get home for the summer so that I could like hang out and do stuff with, friends and family and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. You saying something?
Nope.
Well, so what was it like coming back and deciding like, you know what, I'm done with the hooping? Did you have a knee injury again at the end?
I did. It wasn't completely torn, but so what happened, one day I went to practice and I felt it in my knee, and then I went home, took a nap, and I woke up, my knee was swollen. And I told you about the cabbage story.
Yeah.
Right? They put cabbage on my knee, which is basically like rub dirt on it. Kitty, you'll be fine. We pay you to play. It's swollen. That's knee swell. And I'm like, nah, something's going on. And you go into a hospital to get it checked out, and the lights are flickering.
Yeah, free. You don't even want to be in there.
Because healthcare is free there, right?
Yeah.
And I had just got an ACL repaired by a surgeon that works for the Milwaukee Bucks, so I'm used to that kind of pedigree of like medical attention versus being like,
nah, man, you're not about to open me up.
Yeah, like, and I don't know what you're saying either, right? And I'm with my translator, and she was like, he says he wants to look at your knee, okay? And he's like being all rough with it. I'm like, what the? So I had to make the decision of like, do I stay there and rehab because I'm not gonna play it? I can't run, right? You know what I mean, without it swelling, or come home. And ultimately it was me coming home because I wasn't gonna be playing basketball. And I remember how miserable that was my freshman year when basketball was taken away from me. Now throw isolation into that, and then not being able to go to the gym when I'm bored and turning on TV and the Jeffersons is in Czech. I don't even understand what George is saying, right? It's funny, but I don't imagine that, bro. Like Martin was in Czech, whatever their language is, Czechoslovakia, and I'm like, what? But anyway, so I wanted to have the Marquette doctors look at it, which they were so gracious enough to do. And
I think they could give you some time.
Yeah,
you gave them plenty of years. I think they owed you something.
Facts, they did. But hey, you still got to be politically correct. Thank you. Shout out to Marquette. But it ended up being a meniscus tear. I thought it was my ACL.
Oh,
so
that's
actually better, right?
Yeah, that can heal on its own, really.
Facts, it can. So that was but God works in such mysterious ways. So they said, hey, it's meniscus. That's good. You can get back. And that's like 3-4 months. Right. Zion just had that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
And he's doing, I mean, he's just.
Balling.
Okay.
He's scary.
Right. Jumping out the gym. So that was a quick turnaround. So I was happy about that. But I ended up being like, okay, well, I'm not going to just sit around for 3-4 months. I'm going to, you know what I mean? I went and started training at a place in Kenosha called Athletic Republic and got back in the gym kind of doing some rehab stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't want to just spend all my money. I came home and I'm like, I got money. I'm at the Louis store. I'm going to Chicago. So I'm like, I need to get a job. Got a job in the car business and the rest is history.
And so then you started out in Wisconsin, though, and then you got the opportunity to buy into a dealership up here.
Yeah, so the one in Wisconsin is spoken for, to say the least, and that's where I started out, kind of from the ground level. Started out in sales, and that's just because I'm like, I'm only be here for 3 months, and I made so much money, right? I was, and not even know, I still don't know a lot about cars. If you ask me the horsepower of anything, I'm like, a lot. Just go drive it, right?
The sheet that I'm selling that says that it's got this much.
Right. But you sell the sizzle, not the steak, but moreover, you sell yourself.
Yeah.
I can talk to anybody. I can talk to a doctor. I can talk to a kid our age.
Yeah.
Talk to a hooper. I could talk to a janitorial worker, and that's what kind of makes you good at that job. So rose up the ranks and got into finance because of my degree, and then my mentor, like I said, who ran that store, was like, hey, I got an opportunity. And if you want to, I know you want to go back and play basketball, but this is money for the rest of your life, not just for the time being. And me being, at the age I was, I'm like, man, I did that, right? Do I want to go back? And I kind of thought about the food and the time difference and, being isolated. And I'm like, why not? Why not? And it was a move again to Minnesota, but I mean, I'm getting a flight home, which is what, 45 minutes, Q?
Luxury. It's so nice to just hop on a quick flight. And they don't even serve water on those flights.
They don't.
That's how fast they are.
You're literally up and down. I flew into Milwaukee once, and I kid you not, it was like 22 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll never do it again, but it was just, I was like, that was crazy. You're up, and then he's like, oh, welcome to Milwaukee. I'm like, okay, thank you. The time is now, and it's like, okay, that was a crazy flight. But anyway, Minneapolis is been
How long has you been home?
I moved here May.
Okay.
So it's not even been a year yet, but my business is doing really well. I'm learning at 26 years old how to do stocks and set myself up so that way in 5-10 years I'm chilling.
Oh yeah.
Instead of just now starting my life, which is would have been if I played hoops until 30 is what most women play, and then not ever having credit or not ever having a place of my own or a car loan or anything like that. I just remember, seeing hoopers that come back and forth overseas and they've got kind of a suitcase life. They come back and live with their parents for a few months and they spend a bunch of money and then go back over there and then they're never really establishing themselves. And then when that time's up, they're at a loss of like, okay, what do I do now? And what I did was just kind of skip to that next step. Yeah. And while basketball is still my first love and I'm getting back into it now, it's just, I would always do it this way. Sure.
But are you getting that itch now that you've seen those contracts that they're giving out now? All of them are getting 6 figures. You're getting that baby leave. I mean, they're making steps. I feel bad that it took as long as it did because they deserve to be paid.
I mean, I don't know how to say this without sounding arrogant. I still probably make more than most of them, but that's still probably it's the love, right? You want to do it. You want to be there. You want to kind of be in the game and stuff like that. But it's also too like my body. I just did a workout this morning and I sat down in this chair and I'm feeling the squat. So I don't know if I don't even know if I got it in me anymore to play 60 games. And put cabbage on my knee like that. So yeah.
Well, I am really glad though that they have made those changes. Do you want to talk about the way it affects?
It's when you're when you watch the NBA draft, right? And you see a Zion Williamson or a John Morant, that's just the last draft that there was. So those guys click in my mind. You think to yourself, that kid just became a millionaire. I have to believe that most driving forces for people want to go to the NBA is because of the money, right? It's not, love of basketball, but because you're a millionaire, right? You see, these guys driving and living in nice cars and they can buy their mom a house and they can do all that type of stuff. With women, take that away.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, you're playing for the love. And I know you could probably go be a teacher or, an accountant and make the same money, but you're playing for the love without, without the perks of it. And I just think that the ladies deserve it. I think that they work really hard. I think that they train as much.
And they generate money.
They generate money. They're having babies and then coming back
Yeah.
and playing. And guys talk about playing injured. I think Skylar Diggins played her whole season pregnant or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So that stuff is just I think it's been unfair. Being a basketball historian, I know how the NBA arrived to where it is. It was the ABA, and then it became the NBA, and then they weren't making. I mean, I'm sure Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Wilt Chamberlain weren't making that much money, right? But they were the forefathers. So it's unfortunate that we're in 2020 and we're still looking at the forefathers of the WNBA. So that's kind of, I'm just excited for them, and they deserve it. And it's been a long road coming, but it's only been 20 years, right? So 20 years into the NBA would have been 1970. Now think about what they got paid. Jordan didn't get paid. His last year he got paid $30 million, but before that he was getting paid like 2.5. Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So contracts, once you kind of divulge yourself and kind of educate yourself, while it's really unparalleled, women get paid way less. I think that with them being at 20 years into the WNBA, they're making steps in the right direction.
I feel like a lot of NBA players need to step up more and be vocal about pushing for that. I think Kobe was a huge advocate, and I'm really sad that he's gone because I think he saw what it should be like and really saw a vision. And, I mean, I think that was a baby step to get it closer. But I think with him around, it would progress even quicker.
You have men that understand the game and respect women, and a lot of them do.
Hoopers
but they're not
hoopers.
Yeah, they're not as, like you said, vocal about it. And what I understand is that if it's not advantageous for you to speak up, if you don't have a young daughter, then maybe you probably don't care as much. And that's just the facts of life, right? But you speak about someone like Kobe Bryant, who's got Gigi, who's, hey, Dad, I want to go to the WNBA, and you have the tools, you're going to do everything in your power to make sure that's not only an easy transition but beneficial, right? So, if LeBron's daughter ends up wanting to play, or anybody that, their daughters are wanting to play, I think that they will become a lot more vocal. But unfortunately, like anything in life, it has nothing to do with you. You're kind of like, But those that are speaking up, I respect that. I tip my hat, because I don't think that they have to, but they are willing to. And then they want to see the game elevate, because if women's basketball here elevates, basketball itself elevates. You're still selling jerseys and tickets and filling up that arena and doing all that type of stuff. So, in creating, basketball awareness. So, I really, really commend Kobe, for sure. And I think that to come, a lot more men in the league will start speaking up about it. But now we're making the steps so that they don't have to, that women have, social media, and the games are going to be televised, so they can say it and they can be like, okay, and buy in.
Well,
hold on. So we have to wrap this up because we have some renters coming in. Do you guys, are you going out to, you eating after this?
Yeah, you want to eat some? Is that what you're
I
saying?
mean, well, I'm saying, like, if you want to come back, then you can finish, like, the last portion of it.
You know what? I honestly only had one more question for.
Okay, perfect. Then let's
that was literally it.
And,
I was literally just going to say, I know you got to get out of here, but I want to say one last question before we wrap it up. That's literally what I was about to say when you cut me off.
And sing.
So I wanted to get back into some of your hobbies, too, because I found out you really like to dance. You like art, you like to read, and you even write poetry.
Where were you guys digging at? Where are you on,
I was
like,
all
Facebook?
over Google.
What the heck?
All over Google.
How do you know that? I just met you 2 hours. No. Yeah, I think that, like, being well-rounded is cool. I think it's dope. I think being a dumb jock is played out, right? So dancing, that's just, natural. Kids go to school and socials, and the whoa is everything. TikTok is taking over because kids are dancing, right? So, yeah, that's always growing up some, like, that I like to do. But
God, imagine if we
shout
had
out to the Renegade.
Right.
Right. That shout out to the Renegade. I haven't got that one down, but, like, whoa, I can kill that. But yeah, like reading and poetry, that stemmed a lot from my dad. And my parents, my dad would read the paper every day. So I started reading it, and really the comics starting out, and then the sports page, and then just becoming more aware. And poetry is really, really cool because it's a way to express yourself, and you can kind of be like not an athlete in that form, right? When people go up and read, it's really cool to kind of see them be themselves without having to be cool and be like whatever. Like I dig when people are just themselves, you know, and not, you know, fluffed up or whatever, which sometimes the game causes you to be because you're supposed to be this cool person. But yeah, I do like those. I don't know where you got that stuff from, but yeah.
What poet really hit for you?
Say it again.
What poet really hit for you? Who really touched you?
Maya Angelou's phenomenal.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah, I love her. She represents what I want to represent, which is progressive, which is black women, black people, you know, rising into their greatness, right? Langston Hughes is another one. I kind of got into that like early age poetry because it represented the struggle and then being able to, you know, realize that stuff, right? Like, you know, my grandmother's grandmother was a slave, and now look at me, I own a car dealership, right? Those dreams being realized is something that probably a poet wrote about. And then now we're sitting here talking about it, so really cool.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you coming out here and giving us your time.
Thank
I know you're
you
busy.
guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Katie.
sure. I'm going to hoop you guys up tomorrow at 9 a.m. They didn't want to
Don't be
put that
telling
on
nobody about where it's at. It's all confidential.
Yeah, they didn't
Not
want to put that on
everybody
the
can come.
podcast, right?
All right, thanks
guys.
again.
Thank you.
All right.